Oh, cool. All right. All right. Looks like we're recording. We have to use our good indoor voices.
Yep.
Because I ain't got no money for no microphone, no craziness like that.
You could always steal one from one of the Americans, actually.
We're on.
Yeah.
We're on. We might have to take some things out. And my editing skills suck.
Mine are subpar, which is better than suck.
Is that because you got a Mac?
No, I did a class in Final Cut Pro actually in high school.
Just YouTube it. YouTube has everything. Okay. So let's just act like we're starting. We're just starting this thing.
We're doing live.
Damn right, So this is gonna be your first few of these of these things. I realize, I don't know if you noticed, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting old, I'm gonna die.
I mean, so am I, but just marginally later than you. So.
Yeah. But the thing about me being old is that I'm slowly not understanding people who aren't old. But I'm also not understanding people who are older. We shouldn't get into that.
That's not good. No,
that's another story.
The last thing we need to do is talk about like you being in the middle of just like the generations and shit.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's not.
I'm a lifetime middle child. It feels like. But one of the things with this is the fact of me knowing things, but not to a full extent.
Yeah.
And unlike most people, I don't go around saying that I know everything. I'm not an expert, even with anything I deal with.
Yeah.
Like I just say, hey, this worked for me. Don't be, I'm also stupid.
Yeah.
I'm also trying not to make sure I say I'm stupid. I'm just saying I'm crazy. But one of the big things that I know a good deal about, but not fully, and especially recently with the change of the years, is professional wrestling. Now we've been talking about this stuff for a while.
Yeah.
And and that's pretty much the basis. This is pretty much the basis of me doing this show. That's when I realized I don't understand things. I don't understand. I don't understand colors. I don't understand loud things. I don't understand pyrotechnics before I do a wrist lock or anything. But I wanted to make sure we do this on the basis of we're not spending the whole time griping about wrestlers.
No.
We're going to gripe about wrestlers, but we're not griping about individual wrestlers.
Yeah.
We're not going to say, I'm not going to spend this whole time talking about why a certain person should not do a springboard stunner.
Okay. That's
Should never do a springboard stunner.
Specific.
Ever.
Stafford, calm down.
That's right.
I mean, you're right. We're not going to talk about springboard stunners.
My cousin ended up in the hospital watching.
We're not going to talk about certain red-haired divas who really shouldn't be in a wrestling ring.
There's been a lot of red-haired divas.
One in particular in NXT.
What? I will say it sounds like they're fixing that up by making her bad.
They're doing it, but she still can't wrestle for her.
But yeah, so. but we might get into that.
Let's
not into that person, but into the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
In terms of rolling with the flow, as we say when it comes to jiu-jitsu speak. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. They tell me I'm kind of good. It's just because I laugh when people choke me. But to find a problem and able to work through it, something they couldn't do with Shockmaster, so to speak.
Yeah.
They people have seen to figure out now.
Yeah.
But before we get to this my number one question, which brought all this stuff up, which is the biggest thing, is the PWI 500. I saw the rankings. Some of them, and rankings are rankings. You can always complain about things.
Definitely.
But the main thing is, with the fact that we know wrestling is a predetermined sport, do we need the rankings? And if so, I have a reason why, but I'm more of a middle of the road person.
Middle of the road?
Yes.
Me personally, I am I'm kind of on the same boat, honestly, because like you have the sense that like a lot of it is based on kayfabe performance and not so much about like certain skill within a certain calendar year, you know. Or well, the PWI 500, their calendar year goes from June to June.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So,
And that's one thing, but that's the only thing I know about the PWI 500.
Yeah.
Is that it goes from June to June. I do not understand what is the criteria, you know, in certain things of making a person be on the 500 list.
yeah.
I mean, and I think that comes to the fact of me being a fan of the performance.
Yeah, definitely.
And the performance done by the performer. As I've told you before, I think Shinsuke Nakamura is the greatest wrestler ever, but I would also put up Grado. And I barely watch Grado's matches, but I enjoy the fact that this guy is not good, and he just loves his sport so much it shows, and they built a story around him. And even with the story, are you ranking the story of the person, or the person in the story? Or is that just too deep? I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe this classroom setting is making me want to go philosophical.
Yeah, that's the problem. Conversations in the classroom, everybody. No, but seriously though, those are two great valid points. So whether it's the person's story or the story that the person's revolving around, you know. So I feel like with the PWI 500, there are in the past like few years, like I feel like they try to cater to both in a way, and I feel like it's kind of doing so much, you know. Like we had John Cena's heyday back in 2006 and 2007. He was #1 for both years, but like
was that when everybody liked John Cena? I don't know anymore.
Transitioning towards people hating him.
Okay, I really don't know anymore. I mean,
yeah, that was 2006, 2007. John Cena, Edge's feud. That was a fantastic feud. Going into 2007, John Cena like kind of coming down off of like all like the massive hatred, only to like have shitty ass feuds with like, let's see, Umaga, Great Khali, Big Show. Great match with Bobby Lashley, I will say that was like another good point. His first like legitimate feud with Randy Orton and like the series of hundreds. Doesn't seem to end anytime soon. Thousands, maybe millions by the time we both die.
If we don't start watching Raw again, people, they will have a feud again.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, that's how it goes.
I mean, so I feel like in terms of back to the PWI 500, I feel like it's a little bit of both. I feel like John Cena's like rise as like the face of the company kind of reflects on like the story of the person, and also like and he had some good, and honestly like I kind of complained about like the feuds that he went through during those times, but let's be real here, his feuds with RVD, Edge, and Bobby Lashley, those are fantastic feuds.
Exactly, and those are and not just hark on and by the way, I like John Cena. I think he's goofy. I feel his character knows he's goofy.
Yeah.
I feel he is a heel. And I think that anybody who loses cleanly and stalks another person to get a rematch is a heel or needs to be put away. And the fact that nobody's done that, or since Kevin Owens hasn't pointed that out, is hilarious. So I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I wish he would do more mat wrestling again. I grew up in the time of Larry Zbyszko, watching Steve Regal, Steven Regal. And a lot of mat wrestling, a lot of chain wrestling. And so for me, not seeing that sometimes kind of takes me out of it. And I don't know about you, but I kind of feel lost. I feel like, why didn't you just float over, slap him in the head, and tell him, come on, baby, or something? You know, I don't know what wrestlers say anymore. That's another thing. I don't understand what the kids say. I mean, I think I like Fetty Wap because he's a handicapped person who tries his hardest on every song. So, and because of that, I feel I need to embrace him and his style of whatever he's saying, because I feel he might lose his voice in the middle of a song like Teddy Pendergrass, and we need to support people with disabilities.
Well, off topic.
Go ahead. Zach Gallen for heavyweight.
Oh my God. No, off topic. Fetty Wap has auto-tune, so he'll never lose his voice. But second, trying to get back into this. With the PWI 500, I feel like there's like two rankings that we kind of pay close attention to. One that really doesn't deserve it, but the other definitely does deserve it. And I feel the other that deserves much attention, the attention that it does get, is Dave Meltzer.
Dave Meltzer, yeah. I mean, that's a great guy. I mean,
Yeah.
people hate him, people love him.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's a person who loves wrestling, and when you hear about it, and people who are watching this and they clicked on it because they saw wrestling and they thought that we wanted to have some kind of craziness.
Yeah.
We need to support people who love this sport.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call it a sport because, again, if you're running around and you sweat and you get punched in the face, that's a sport. You could go and do theater and you could sweat. I wouldn't call plays and musicals sports. You gotta be athletic to do those musicals and those dances. Yeah. But for this,
there's definitely a spirit of competition. That's why I call it sport, though. So, and Dave Meltzer, hate him or love him, like he's one respectable guy.
Exactly.
I mean, if you have Bret Hart and Ric Flair calling his word Bible, then you know he's worth something.
And that's a person who does his job and doesn't want to offend. He wants to let people know. And when you know that this is a predetermined competition, you want people to let you know. When that came out, and that was news, that was literally news. Like, I remember at 10 o'clock, they said, Vince McMahon says pro wrestling is fake. And I sat there and listened to this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what? And then they figured out, and they told you it's because of the sports laws in Jersey.
Yeah.
And it was like some kind of crazy with the commission. And then I was like, that's interesting. How can you continue this? And that's when you had that's when you went into the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
That's when you really went into it. That was before, that built up to the hour-long Iron Man match on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
When SmackDown was a good show. Wow.
Well, another topic for another time. Another topic for another time.
Everybody wants to talk about ECW. I think we need to talk about the amazement of SmackDown as the A show. But again, with going back to the 500, and we saw Seth Rollins as number one.
Seth Rollins is number one.
Exactly.
That's a perfect choice.
That's the perfect choice.
Seth Rollins had the best year.
And because of that, it's like we said, when it came to story, he had the best year as a performer and as a person in his story. And when you put that together, as much as I love New Japan Pro Wrestling, which we'll probably get to later on, and I use that as a basis for a lot of my things, because when I'm bored, I watch New Japan because I don't speak Japanese. They could at least use their power in the ring to explain to me what's going on. And I'm there 20 minutes, not realizing I watched a 20-minute match in Japanese, and I'm entertained. And then when I go home and I watch another product, not to cook, something from WWE, something from TNA, something from Ring of Honor, even though Ring of Honor deals with New Japan, it feels different. It feels like I'm just like, oh. I wish you would use the strong style spirit and kind of like and trying to hulk up and use the power of your ancient ones to stage a comeback. But
I mean, they try that with Hulk, right?
Don't get me started.
Who? Yeah, I forgot. We got who's Hulk Hogan again?
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, but seriously, I feel like for someone who doesn't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling as much as he should, I feel like it's definitely like the paradigm of what pro wrestling definitely needs to be in this day and age. It's 2015, and like WWE is like sitting right at the top. And even if they have crappy ratings after crappy ratings, week after week after week after fucking week,
what we have that is still what we have to look at.
Yeah.
And no matter how we always say. If I say watch New Japan, if I say watch Ring of Honor, if I say watch old tapes of World of Sport, or Stampede Wrestling, Mid-South, we will always, in the back of our minds, go back to WWE, which is a great thing, and that's a great marketing thing. And now, you know, we talked about the PWI. We'll probably talk about it a little bit later about how we would rank.
Yeah.
I think we kind of explained it in terms of performance and storyline.
Yeah.
But of course, 500 wrestlers is too damn much.
Too
man.
much, yeah.
Seriously, like, why?
But honestly, in terms of a marketing standpoint,
I don't want to know if somebody who was at 400.
on a marketing standpoint, though, it does roll off the tongue pretty well, though. I feel like it was PWI like 300 or 100. I mean, what the women wrestlers at PWI 50 though.
Do you and when you think of 500 and as a wrestler, do you want to be Mr. 500 sometimes? Do you think Mr. 500 will get more of a name as number one or the top 20?
Absolutely not.
Let's say
Absolutely
this.
not.
Let's say
Absolutely
this.
not.
Here's my thinking of it. Here's my thinking of it. You know, you get into the ring. You get into the wrestling biz.
Yeah.
You know, you started 2 years in. Are you reaching for the PWI when they have the new rankings?
Absolutely no. I feel like it's David Meltzer who you should be really looking forward to. I feel like PWI.
But I mean, you're in the business now.
Yeah.
That's in your head. No matter if we say Dave Meltzer and his rankings are number one.
Yeah.
Are you not telling me you don't want to know where you would, if you might have made the 500 list? Come on now.
Yeah.
I want to make the 500 list. I will get clothesline on a toilet bowl.
Yes.
If you put me at Mr. 500, I will do a storyline where I ate bad burritos and my nemesis kicks me in the stomach, and that's it.
The worst part is that actually has happened in almost verbatim. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Um,
sorry I thought of that.
Yeah.
But come on now, let's be honest though. Because you tell me you wouldn't milk.
I mean,
that you Mr. 500.
Again, marketing standpoint, it makes sense. But in terms of like PWI 500, let's be real here. Like, it seems pretty easy to make the 500.
500.
It seems to be easy to make the 500 when you only have like.
You don't want to get a jacket that says Mr. on one side and 500 on the other, and you put together. You don't want to get. You don't want to get Jericho's
here's the thing.
light bright jacket.
Yeah.
And you just got like that. And
Here's the thing though. If the person who's number 500 this year watches this podcast and they come up with the idea, we get the suit.
Please, listen.
Watch us.
If you see this and you became Mr. 500, please let me know. Let us know. We reach out to you, buddy, because I want you to get the light bright jacket. I want to see Mr. 500 or Miss 500. Women are on it.
Barely though. Remember, they have their own list.
We gotta talk about women's Japanese wrestling one day. But that would definitely be it. But yeah, come on, separate lists. Come on, a lot of y'all women should be.
We're not
even getting into
we are. I mean, not
2015.
Not in the
love wins. I don't know.
Not in the WWE standpoint.
No,
I don't know, dude. Not in the WWE sense, but in terms of just like how prominent and how quality these matches are. We're kind of in a women's revolution right now. I do agree.
Not the one that's on.
Not the Divas Revolution, mind you. We are in a women's revolution with matches like Bayley and Sasha Banks stealing the show at TakeOver Brooklyn, planning on stealing the show again at the next NXT TakeOver.
They're the main event.
They're main event.
They already started.
30 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah.
They already stole it. They were even telling us that they were 4-year-olds learn how to write about Iron Maiden matches, and I'm just like, really?
But even then, though, you also have. Sasha Banks, honestly, like when the PWI 50 women come out and she's not number one, I'm gonna throw a fit.
Well, Bailey's number one. I think she had a great story.
Bailey's real story really started.
That's
like
the thing.
in July.
Again, we don't know how the PWI list
exactly,
works.
and that's
so
the problem,
I think that as a wrestling and a story, she could be number one.
Technically, but yeah, it's like it's a real story. Yeah,
Sasha.
It has to be Sasha. Has to be Sasha. Sasha Banks is the best women's wrestler all right now.
Yeah.
I feel distant, but not really second. Charlotte.
God. Dude, Charlotte is ridiculous. Like,
Oh,
she like 6'2"?
She's my height.
She's
my height.
dwarfing everybody.
Yeah, she's my height.
Dude, she-
Also, she's the daughter of Ric Flair. Let's talk about Charlotte for a second. Because like I feel like
I didn't want to talk about specific wrestlers, but
but like
again, this is all love.
yeah, it's all love because I love Charlotte to death. Like even when she was healing it up, I feel like she was awesome in NXT doing her heel work. But imagine if she basically became the woman version of her father. Granted, there's not enough cocaine in the world to become Ric Flair. I do understand that. But just imagine if she just like elbow dropped her ring attire, the ring itself, knee dropping out of nowhere, just shouting, "Woo! Woo! Woo!"
Exactly.
Out of nowhere.
Exactly. So
But I mean, she's the Diva champion now. She's the Diva champion.
But that brings up a good point. That does bring up another question I did have.
Yeah.
Wrestlers itself, it
Yeah.
seems to have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the style. But is it a good thing? I mean, I'm watching some matches,
Mm-hmm.
and this is after them saying, hey, we care about concussions.
Yeah.
And people continually get hit in the head.
Yeah. To be fair, compared to 2006, 2007, compared to 2006, 2007, I feel it's much less of a worry. At least for me, I feel like at least no one's getting chair shots at the head anymore.
That's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
But I bring this up in terms of with the different style, with the wrestling change, and we're not going to talk. I'm not talking about the styles of wrestlers yet, but is their style any better, or does
today?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I go back sometimes. I'll watch a World of Sport, and I watch Bruno's matches, Bruno Sammartino matches. And he wasn't doing much, and he brought it through a storyline and tenacity.
Yeah.
So I watch these guys now. You watch these guys now in the rings, and they're doing a whole bunch of things. They're doing DDTs.
Yeah.
They're doing springboard stunners.
Yeah.
They're doing super kicks. And it's like, that's 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
And then they continue having a match. It's a lot of action.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be pulling towards anything, going towards anything.
That's a good point.
Does this like seem to sometimes take away from what they're doing?
This may seem unrelated, but it kind of isn't.